welcome to Experience Recovery Conversations. This series of Experience Recovery Conversations is talking to people who are and have been working through furlough to engage with their communities and to continue raising the profile of sport and physical activity. And today I'm talking to Robyn, and Robyn works for Freedom Leisure. So Robyn, just give us a bit of an intro, sort of who you are, where you work, who you work for, and the types of things you get up to, please.
So my name's Robyn. I work for Freedom Leisure in Swansea as the active communities manager. So the majority of my role, it's a very flexible role in itself, and the demands of Swansea residents and what they need from their local leisure centre. But my aim is to take what we can offer in a local leisure centre and take it out into the community, essentially.
Excellent. So you're effectively stood at the door of the leisure centre looking out at those people and what their physical activity needs are. Okay.
Yeah, what they need from us, how we can help them. So whether they are a young athlete whose aspirations are to play for their country, what can we do to support them? Whether they are a family that's looking to get more active, if they are somebody who's been referred to do exercise by their doctor. So we've got lots of things that we do to help people stay and remain and love being active.
Brilliant. Okay, that's fantastic. And Freedom have a sort of set of themes, don't they, for the role that you work in, and working with the elderly and working with young people is all part of the remit of your role. Okay,
yeah, so we've got 6 pillars. We've got 6 pillars. So just sport, workplace in terms of our employees and giving people experience in the fitness industry, the community, young people, health, and then also the elderly as well.
Elderly. Yeah, that's brilliant. So it's a really nice remit. It's what used to be called in my day, and I've been doing this a long time, sport development.
Yeah. So it's a sports development role within leisure centres. Absolutely,
it's a fabulous place to be. And I, as an operator for facility management, all I saw sport development was a pathway effectively to try and get more people to take out a membership to increase monthly yield. And I do think in a post-pandemic world, I think that will change, and it's not about getting people into the doors anymore. Do you get that same feeling?
Yeah, and I think, again, like you think in our 4 walls, we've got members of staff who, that their expertise is around health. We've got some that, offer kind of personal training. We've got loads of things that we can offer within our facilities, swimming instructors, like life coaches, things like that. So I think in a COVID world, it's maybe, the barrier itself might be physically coming into the building. So in terms of educating people out there who go, leisure centres aren't for me, I've got this preconception that I don't belong in them or they're not safe, how do we take what we do out to them? So I think where people have gone a bit more virtual in lockdown, that's going to really help us kind of connect with people. But I think, again, you can sell somebody a membership and get them into the door and hard sell, like, please be a member with us. I think, the whole idea is that, your journey with fitness and your journey with physical activity, it is a journey. So one day you might then have a membership, one day you might come and play recreational badminton, but I think it's about showcasing the holistic side to a leisure centre. And so it means, like, yes, this building can purpose you as a gym and you can just crack and stay fit, or this building can purpose you later in life when you maybe need somebody to lean on to help motivate you, train. So there's loads of different ways that we can help people.
Yeah, absolutely. It almost becomes a signposting activity.
Yeah,
so
definitely. Talk
to me about lockdown then. What have you been doing during lockdown? How have you managed to sort of continue the engagement with all of those groups of people that you've been working with?
So lockdown has been a challenge. Obviously, essentially, we completely shut our doors, and therefore people didn't have access to their gyms at all. And for a lot of people, that was a red flag. Their gym is kind of their place where they can, switch off. They can set goals that are away from kind of everyday life. So for us, it was just making sure that we were checking in on people, and not necessarily just our members. It was making sure that everyone was all right. So one thing that we knew that we were able to offer was a free virtual program. So we set up a Facebook page, completely open. We weren't vetting who liked it, or you had to be a member. That wasn't really the ethos behind it. It was just about showcasing, our passionate staff and saying, look, do a Pilates class. It's completely free. We've got amazing instructors. You want something a little bit harder, here's a HIIT workout. You want to do something with the kids, here's fundamental skills. So that was something that I taught during lockdown. and we've kind of just made sure that we can be I guess a platform that people can rely on to stay active. So yeah, and we've got an array of instructors who have all got different expertise and kind of different personalities which speak to lots of different people. So that's one thing that we felt that we could do, and we felt we could do it well for people out there.
I've really enjoyed watching some of the instructors that I have to follow as a result of this, and they're doing exercise with the dog, or they're in the kitchen, or they're doing something in a muddy garden, and it's really made that instructor much more of a person than that almost hero status, because they're so fit, they're so good at this, stood there at the front with a headset on. It's been brilliant.
Almost like, this untouchable, like one day I wish I could be like you, whereas actually, you know, and part of me thinks, you know, you do see an instructor and they are somebody who probably is a little bit of an unsung hero in terms of people relying on them to keep them fit and active and happy. And actually being able to then go, they've got a dog like me. And that's one thing I found in terms of like engaging with members of staff. So obviously you've got different hierarchies within the business, you've got people with different roles and different responsibilities, but actually being able to see, like, I guess, into their home and see what pictures they've got up on the wall, or, you know, a kid comes in mid-meeting, or, you know, somebody who you think is like a scary boss then goes, gonna have to stop, my dog's chewing my leg. Like, they just become a little bit more, and I think from that, like in terms of our workforce, I think we've all just become a little bit more genuine and authentic.
Yeah, absolutely. And I know you asked me today if we could move this recording because you needed to go and train, and that just registered in my head. That must mean that you play an elite sport. So just give us a bit of background about what your background is. What sport are you playing?
Yeah, so I play rugby. I've played rugby since 2012, so 9 years. And I currently play for Gloucester Hartpury in the English Allianz Premiership, but I also play for Wales as well.
It's fantastic. And you play blindside flanker, don't you? I think we had that.
Yeah. Well, recently transitioned to hooker, so that's a new journey that I'm starting, and, you know, taking myself out of my comfort zone, just kind of keeping my options open. But yeah, back row, soon to be hooker.
Front row. It's a bit warmer.
Front row,
front row.
yeah.
It's a bit
As I've
warmer.
got
That's
older,
where
my
I play.
numbers got smaller.
Yeah.
slower and heavier. They go.
Yeah, I'm not so sure anymore. I think everybody's just as quick on the pitch these days.
Yeah.
But what's interesting about that is that ability to still meet your teammates, to still train, to still have that socialized piece as well, I guess, but with a secure bubble, etc., etc. So how is that making you and your fellow teammates? You're not professional, are you, in Wales?
No, not professional. We do it because we love it, but we still obviously we're not professional, so it's not, you know, we all have jobs, and we do rugby as kind of our hobby, but it is at an elite level. So being able to have that status, which allows us to travel, you know, for me, I have to travel into England, you know, 3 times a week to play rugby, and then also travel to Cardiff to meet with the Welsh squad. I just think in terms of, you do feel really lucky that, you know, there are people who are, you know, sat on boards, agreeing that, you know what, it's, you know, these group of players, they are elite and they do need to meet up and train. So yes, we've got expectations, you know, we've got a Six Nations coming up, we're training for a World Cup, which is in September, but we also we do it because we love it. So being able to see your teammates and just, you know, all with the protocols now of socially distance, I can't give my teammates a hug, but I can give them a nod, hello, I missed you. But we're still able to do that, and you do feel really lucky, because I know there are people who can feel completely isolated, and their kind of identity, which might be around sport, has just been taken from underneath their feet. So
yeah, and sometimes it takes that thought, doesn't it, around actually these are the things I'm still getting. People must be missing this type of stuff.
Massively. And I think sport plays, you know, you've got people who compete, you know, for performance and compete for, you know, an elite standard, but that doesn't mean that holistically or kind of, you know, psychologically it's more important than somebody who plays in, you know, Division 2 on a Saturday. It's still just as important as that person, because they've got a role to play, they've got people who rely on them. So and in terms of rugby, I think that's been one sport that's on an elite level, it's really pushed for players to be able to still meet up. I know that netball's not been as lucky.
No.
So I think, you know, and then there's a knock-on effect because leisure centres then don't host these training sessions or don't host fixtures, and people then don't see somebody walking across a sports hall playing netball, and they go, oh, I think I could do that. So all of that kind of the other side of just saying can't have sport at the moment because of COVID and regulations, understandably, it has a massive impact on everybody.
Yeah, absolutely. And I guess it also informs our learning. So what, you know, I've found out so much stuff through doing these interviews, by being involved in other things, that I want to take forward. I want to change what the future looks like because of what I now know. What sort of things will you take forward as learning from COVID?
I think in terms of like my professional career and work, I think it's just about being adaptable and kind of, I guess, rolling with the punches a little bit. You know, there's times where you might have something that, you know, a way that you thought something was going to happen and it can't happen. Okay, well, how do we move on? How do we adapt? What can we do instead? And I think that's one thing that I've learned is just to be super adaptable and also like being able to put things into perspective. So there's some people who, you know, haven't survived the pandemic. There's some people who are stuck in ICU units. There's NHS and teachers and, you know, key workers who, you know, have had to deal with horrendous decisions to make or just pressure. And I think in terms of, you know, just kind of being a little bit adaptable, but a little bit more understanding of what others are going through and, you know.
Yeah, and I think you're right. I think it's that agility, isn't it? You know, to go back to the rugby analogy, the fullbacks now have just, they've got so much agility. They can play in the forwards, they can play in the backs, they can kick, they can run. You know, it's the whole ability to change with the opportunity that arises. And I guess the hardest bit for you, to go back to your core activity, which was junior activity, is that you can't have direct contact with a child. You've got to almost go through the parents. So are you looking at ways that you can try and get that engagement with younger people at the moment?
Yeah, and I think that's one thing, isn't it? You know, you've got, you can't help but feel for parents who've overnight had to become, you know, a sports coach, a teacher, you know, primary caregiver, but also then all these other things they've got to think about. So I think from our point of view, it's, you know, we know that pre-COVID, we had a really strong junior program. We were offering gymnastics, balance bikes, football, athletics, basketball. So how can we almost transition those things into the home? And it might not be through an online class. It might be through working with national governing body partners to say, like, what resources have you got for people to try at home, or, you know, just something, because I know that there will be like not a whole generation, because it's only been 1.5 years really we've been affected by COVID, but that's long enough for, you know, you think what you can do with young children in 1.5 years in terms of sports development and skill development and creating those fundamental skills. How do we still continue that so that in 10 years time, that generation of athletes has still got their fundamental skills that means that they can perform?
And I'm going to stop you there because we've almost run out of time, but I'll reinforce something. That whole fundamental skills agenda and PE literacy that Wales is so good at, really pleased you raised that at the end, because that is such a good programme, that physical literacy programme that the Welsh government is doing.
Massively important. I think just the idea behind physical literacy. So yeah, in our football programme, we've got people who, mainly parents, that go, I would like my kid to do football because I did football and it's part of my identity. But within our football programme, we're not creating Wales's next, you know, Bale. We're creating a well-rounded young person who enjoys being active and has got skills for football primarily, but lots of other things. Captain, passing, you know.
And Robyn, that's another 30-minute conversation, so we're not going to have it now, all right?
I told you I love to talk.
That's brilliant. Robyn, thank you so much for your time. Absolute pleasure. You take care, enjoy your training.